Investors Stories podcast. I'm your host, Simon Rushton. Today we have a guy who is a business development national manager in England. He was brought up in Hertfordshire, but also lived in Watford. He has one child and he's an expert in dance, 10 years dance experience, and he lived in Africa, yes, Kenya, for 4.5 years as a consultant for various companies. Hello, Mr. Gary Carr. How are you today?
Yeah, no, I'm very good. I'm dressed for chilly UK.
Okay. Now, my first question would be: is what's a typical business and leisure day for you in Africa?
Actually, you'll just have to speak a little bit closer to the microphone if you don't mind. Thank you.
Yeah. What is a typical day in business and leisure for you in Africa?
Oh, wow. I don't think there was actually one typical day. I actually worked on a whole range of projects out there, so they were quite diverse, which is very different to your experience in the UK, where you might work for one company and you might work for them for a whole number of years. Um, yeah, every day was very different. Probably that's one of the main reasons I liked it. Every day had its own sort of challenge and experience, and generally at the end of the day, um, you learn a lot. Let's just say that. Um, yeah, it's very difficult. It's very difficult when I think about it. Um, you do have a bit more time out there. That's one thing for sure. But the most important thing is to use that time as effectively as possible if you want to make progress in your projects.
What kind of projects were they?
Well, there was a broad range of them. So I worked for a whole range of different people with different types of projects. Um, a lot of the projects out there are in food, some are in construction, some are major infrastructure projects. The ones that I personally enjoyed the most were the food related ones, partly because I like cooking and have a certain passion for food. So they're good projects to work in. And plus also in the food industry, you're dealing with a lot of very diverse people. So I enjoyed that. In terms of other projects, a lot of it's consulting, research-based projects, writing business plans, that type of thing. And again, very broad range of projects. Very nice one, which I did for a bamboo investor. That did take some time. Nice project. Didn't quite turn out the way I expected because it's like everything. Once you do your research, it takes you often into a different direction. So with this project, it certainly did take me into a different direction, and obviously it led the investor to think about, how he wanted to invest his money in the future. With this, his idea was to produce finished goods from a resource that he believed was readily available. But once the research was done, that resource wasn't readily available. But like most things, when one door is closed, another door is open. It's just that you have to change your thinking. The thing I would say in Kenya is that you need to be prepared to be open to change your thinking and follow the money, which is, I think in business, it's always about following the money.
Okay. Were the clients you worked for, were they Kenyans? Were they from other parts of the world?
No, some were Kenyan. Actually, quite a few were Kenyan. Some were expats. Some were established investors out there. No, it's just again a broad range of people. What I would say, if I'm really honest, that the people who are the best at investing are actually the local people because they understand some of the issues that are in the marketplace. The expats that were out there were investing. If I'm honest, many of them were amateur investors. So they were a little bit naive as to the approach to the market. I think a lot of them had the picture that it was going to be an easy process. They saw the opportunity, but one of the problems and one of the most important things in business, especially small business, you have to have a hands-on approach. You can't leave your business up to others to manage that business and expect them to manage it in the way that you would want it to be managed, unless you obviously pay a professional, and then obviously you have to pay a professional wage. So a lot of the small investors, I think, had made investment mistakes, which you can make over here, not just in Kenya. You can make the same investment mistakes in this country. For instance, a lot of people don't realize that in the UK, that in terms of new business, it's a 60% failure rate. A lot of people don't think it's like that, but very often it's, again, down to lack of due diligence, a lack of forward planning, a lack of calculating the cost if the project doesn't go as quickly as you think it would go.
Okay, so basically,
This is about foresight
and that's
managing risk.
And that's where someone like you come in, where you're hired as a consultant, because you have that ability.
Yeah. What I tend to do is get people to calculate risk and forecast things that they wouldn't normally expect. So, you know, that's where the research comes in. If you don't do adequate research, you're going to find the problems. The only thing is you won't be prepared for the problems. Whereas you forecast the problems, they're not problems. You just simply look for solutions. And that really basically determines the difference between you being a successful business person and an unsuccessful business person. It's that ability to overcome various eventualities which will happen. You know, business is not an easy ride.
Okay. What was the most valuable lesson that you learned when you was out there?
Out there, the most valuable lesson, I think, is learning to work with the people, the culture, learning to understand it, and also not only that, but the one thing it taught me was there are a lot of practices out there that are very short-term in their thinking, and one of the issues with that, it doesn't produce good outcomes. Much of that is about the necessity of life. Certainly, if you're an expat, and I'd even go and say that charities suffer from this, and also even major investors and government investors, I think sometimes they are over-optimistic and don't realize the impact of the short-term mentality out there. So it's like a lot of things. You have to build the right team, have the right people around you with the right mentality, having the right ethos, having the same goals and aspirations. Now, that's not so easy to find, but if you find the right people to work with, you're going to be successful. The one thing that I learned out there was that I'd come from a very corporate background, and there's a lot of things about the institutionalized thinking that I'm not fond of. It's very much about systems, and I'm quite an entrepreneurial, creative person. Having said that, when I was in Kenya, I really appreciated the value of those systems and the methodology, because they are the things that actually protect your business and make your business flow in the right way. So when I was out there, I really appreciated the European Western, but it's not just the European Western model, it's the same model that's used in any successful business or organization. And it does go right back in history, right through to Greek accounting methods, actually, Roman and Greek accounting methods. Those systems need to be applied. And you need to be involved in your business. You need to be talking to the people on the ground about the progress that they're making. You need to have checks and balances. So those European systems that we're very familiar with, bring them to Kenya with you. Don't think that you can sit back and just let the business happen and trust the locals, because as I said, they have a different mentality to things. Their mentality, even from professional background, is very day to day in their thinking, unless they've obviously schooled in, maybe Europe or America. So, yeah, I did learn that. You can pass on your ethos, but you have to educate the locals through training, mentoring, and it's just really down to schooling, which is something that I actually did for a company out there. Was actually school people in having the right mentality and approach to business.
What would you say you learned from the Kenyans or the people you came across with?
What did I learn from Kenya? Yeah, that was interesting. Actually, the one thing I did come back from Kenya was actually, I came back as a calmer person, because I realized that you can't fight the world. You can't fight everything. So I learned to pick my fights. I learned to remain calm about things that I couldn't change. Those things that are immovable, I learned to go around them. And definitely, I learned to appreciate each day as it comes, which, despite what I said, it's really important. So I actually did learn to live from day to day, which is a valuable lesson. But I would say definitely with the Kenyans, they have incredible patience, and I certainly would say that I came back a much more patient person, and not without expectation. I didn't lose that, but I learned to focus on the things that were really important and disregard things that were not important, and certainly disregard things that make no difference to me, and certainly realize that I'm very, very small. I don't have a lot of control. In the West, you think you have a lot of control, but in actual fact, you realize you don't. And that was a very valuable lesson, because I think when you have that, you end up as an individual much more at peace with yourself, and you learn to just focus on the things that are within your grasp. And you also learn to be satisfied with smaller goals as well. In doing that, you have more success, I think. Life is about lots of small goals, lots of achievables.
What would you do differently?
What would I do differently? Use time well. So most people think of money as a resource. The one thing I also learned when I was out there, that time is one of your most important resources.
The most, I would say it's the most important.
Yeah.
Go on.
Money burns quickly. But again, if you equate that to time, so for instance, have a time frame for things and use it well, because you don't get that time back, and very often when that opportunity passes, it's gone. If you don't do things quickly enough, say for instance, a project, the money you have set aside will be eaten up. That's a Kenyan word, of course. Yeah, but it will just be eaten up, and you'll find that you'll not have the resource for it. So yeah, keep things on track. Most importantly, keep yourself on track, and definitely use that time. Don't let a day pass without having achieved something, even if it's something simple. It might not necessarily be business related. It might be, if you want to go and see the animals in the park, don't talk about it, do it. If you've got a Thursday coming up and the time is available, and it's, you have the resources to do it, don't leave it to next week. Do it the Thursday that's coming up. Do it whichever day is coming up. Just use your time well. I think most people don't achieve what they want fully in life, don't do things that they would like to do fully in life, is because they let the time just slip through their fingers. You do need a little bit of time, obviously, just to do nothing. I'm a great believer in that, but don't let a day pass when you do nothing. That's definitely something I learned out there. It's very easy to just let time pass you like a river. The only thing is we've got a finite amount of it. So yeah, just use it well. And that's something that I've learned. In fact, actually, I'll be honest, one of the things that I do, I've been doing it actually quite regularly, well, actually daily. I actually write a book at the end of the day. I write all the good things about the day. I write all the bad things about the day. I write all the things that I appreciated about the day. I write my goals, both small and large, at the end of the day. And I also write rewards. So I actually give myself a reward, and I write my reward for the things that I've achieved that day. And the rewards are only for the achievement of the things that I set out. So I don't reward myself if I don't achieve what I do. That's a daily habit that I make. And that's partly something that I've got from learning both back in the UK, but also it's something that I actually wished I did out there. I do it now, but if I was out there, I'd do that every day. And I would find that I'd be much more productive and much more appreciative. And yeah, appreciate every day. That's my bit of guidance for
So,
anybody who'd like to do that.
so it would be fair to say that Kenya helped you know you more from the sound.
Yeah, it made me, the one thing it does, it makes you richer. And I think it's like going to any country. It makes you richer from the point of view that you go to learn about other cultures, other peoples, to see other things, have other experiences. But in actual fact, it enriches your own perspective of your own culture and from where you come from, and the reason why certain things evolve and why you do certain things. So in actual fact, you come back a richer person at all levels. You actually understand yourself better. You find that you reevaluate a lot of things. And it's like everything, particularly in cultures, there's no such thing as all good or all bad. There are some good things, and there are some bad things. There are some things that are great, and there are some things that are not so great. But I think one of the great things about living abroad is you can pick and choose who you are, what you want to be, what you like, what you don't like, what you agree with, what you don't like to agree with. And also you learn to adapt and respond to different experiences you have in a way that keeps integrity to yourself, but also shows understanding of local things. You might not necessarily agree with all local things, but you certainly need to understand. It's like everything in life. There is a reaction and a reaction. So you definitely need to understand how things are locally, and you need to know how to react, because there will always be a reaction. You do the right thing, you'll get a right reaction. You do the wrong thing, you'll get a negative reaction.
When you were there,
Sorry?
when you were there in Kenya, what
Yeah.
did you miss about back in England? Was there anything that you missed?
Yeah, I mean, I had some family obviously back in the UK, so I obviously missed them, although I kept in touch on a regular basis. The nice thing about my family, everybody's very independent. So, chatting was very, very easy. Same as we're sort of chatting on a podcast. You chat through WhatsApp. It was very good. Yeah. Then, so that was quite easy. I think also myself, I'm not somebody who tends to feel sort of homesick. I tend to make friends quite easily. It's not difficult to surround yourself with friends. Although picking the right friends and having the right quality of friends around you is essential. For those that are close to you. Then in terms of what did I miss? In fact, the one thing about Kenya is you've got everything there. So, you've got the bush, if you want to go to the bush and have those experiences, or you've got everything you associate with modern life, good quality restaurants, nice hotels, you know, everything's there in Kenya. It can be easily found, so you're not sacrificing a lot in terms of luxury. No, if I'm honest, I was quite happy. I was definitely quite happy. There were things that I did that perhaps others wouldn't do. They might think it's a bit risky. Um, but I'm now a kind of just natural risk taker anyway. And that just adds to the excitement of life. So I was pretty happy, I would say. Didn't miss too much.
I would say from my experience that most people who we bumped into out there, just to let the listeners know, I know Gary from Kenya, from Mombasa, is that we were all, that's one thing we had in common, we were all risk takers. And it's generally kind of something that's in your DNA when you just pick up yourself, especially, you know, at our age, and we go out there and try and start a new life, not knowing anybody or really anything apart from that you've got some money in your pocket. What was your biggest trial out there? What was your biggest trial? The biggest thing that you thought, oh, this is, I'm going to have to go, if this doesn't work, you know, it could be make or break.
Waiting for things to happen. Again, money, it depends on people's experience, but money is finite. So it doesn't matter how much money you had. I mean, when I went out there, I had quite a reasonable amount of money. It does slowly disappear. I did a lot of pro bono work, probably too much, which I was quite happy to do. A lot of the work I was doing for, you know, Kenyan wages, probably higher than the average Kenyan, but I was doing work for Kenyan wages. But you know, so I wasn't building wealth. The main reason I was out there was to learn, to have an experience, to assist people. I'm not much of a believer in charity. I believe that business is the way to help people, creating independence, to help people be more productive, and to be self-supporting. But having said that, one of the main problems I found was it takes time for things to happen. And there were, you know, times when I needed things to happen more quickly because I simply was running out of money. And that's difficult because you're in another country and you're running out of resources. Obviously, you want to see things through. You want to see projects come to fruition, but you realize that, you know, this might not happen for you. So, you know, one of the hardest things is walking away from your babies, which are your projects. I would say, if I'm really honest, there were a number of occasions when I should have walked away much more quickly, and I fell into the trap of over optimism in terms of how quickly things would actually happen. You know, that is a mistake. I actually broke my own rules that I would give as advice to companies. But sometimes that happens because, you know, your emotion, or you become emotionally attached to things rather than being truly logical about your decision making. Which, in my case, I broke that golden rule on a number of occasions.
Do you wish you had made the decision earlier in your life to try it out there?
No, I mean, I think it's like a lot of things. You get, what happens is, I think, in life that you reach a point where you're open to do something different. And I think, you know, if I was 20 and you said to me, do you want to go to Africa? I'd probably thought, well, okay, it sounds cool. But actually, there were lots of things I was doing at 20, which, was very career related at the time. And I also had a lot of good friends, and you're living life, you're having fun, and everything's sort of new and exciting. I will say, and I guess this is something that relates to age, I think everybody will relate to, that when you've been doing something for 20 years, you reach the point where you know it pretty well inside out. Now, I know for a lot of people, they're in their comfort zone and they're happy with that, and they will coast from there on. But also, I think there's a lot of people that still have the energy, or would like to have that energy of when they were 20, when everything was so exciting. It's just that they don't have that opportunity because they're tied into a career where they have a great income, they have security. So what they do, they accept the mundane for the sake of that security, rather than think, let me find that excitement and that enthusiasm that I had when I was starting out. And to do that, you have to be prepared to let go of the furniture, as it were. You're prepared to let go, and you have to be prepared to step into the unknown and to start out again. And I think that's what Kenya gave me the opportunity to do, which was to be 20 again. The only thing is you have a lot of experience, which gives you an advantage over being 20. But you have that same excitement, that newness, that experience, the opportunity to build something, the opportunity to grow and learn, and to step into the unknown. So if you want to stay young, I would say definitely let go of the furniture, step into the unknown, and be prepared to start fresh. And you will, you'll really live life. You'll have that same enthusiasm, excitement that you had, in your early 20s, when, everything was new and exciting. And definitely it's the key to staying young. And I would do it all over again.
Why Kenya? There's 54 countries in Africa, I believe. Why Kenya?
Why Kenya? I think with my knowledge of Africa, which was not great, if I'm honest, I did have Kenyan friends, so that helps. Kenya's English speaking. I was originally asked out there to help set up a business, which was a dance company. So that was the original impetus. I'll be honest, my last job, I was in it for 10 years. It was, going very well. I was bored. And then I had this opportunity and I thought, why not? So I basically sold up, came over here, set up the business, and decided to go on an adventure. I was at a point in life where I needed to do something different. I needed a challenge. Again, I've got a lot of energy, very creative. I love challenge. I believe that it's important to have a certain amount of risk in your life. I don't believe in playing it safe continuously, although I believe in calculated risk. Obviously, the people I knew, and I knew that Kenya, as a country, was developing and growing, so it seemed like a good place to go. Certainly didn't know enough, because there's a huge difference between the public perception in the west of the country to the reality on the ground. And yeah, so a little bit naivety, if I'm honest. Knowing people, English speaking, there's a shared history, which makes it actually very easy to go to Kenya. And yeah, seemed like an adventure. Seemed like a good decision.
Mindset.
So that was it. There was nothing, and I didn't go over there with some big corporate organization where you're in a bubble, It was,
So
Yeah,
Gary, mindset before and after.
yeah.
Would you say your mindset has changed drastically from arriving and your perceptions to leaving?
Yeah, well, I'm the same. I'm the same person. You don't change. But no, I mean, my goodness, coming back into the UK, in terms of coming back into the UK, it's not been straightforward. Uh, Things in 5 years have changed very rapidly. Actually, going to the job market was a challenge, not from the point of view of not wanting to work, but there is a different mentality and ethos over there. And I've been away for 5 years. I realized my career had a complete disconnect. So I did have the impression I was going to walk into my career. But one of the things that I would say um, in Kenya, things that are not always straightforward, not always easy. So um, the mentality that I developed over there, that solution based mentality that has come to me um, back in the UK. And, I've worked through the problems and, um, I'm rebuilding. Um, there's obviously money in the UK, so it makes things much easier, but I'm rebuilding pretty quickly. And much of that has been made possible by the fact that you have to have a lot of resilience when you're in Kenya, and that resilience has come with me. So, also in terms of diversity of what I did, risk learning, um, they are huge attributes that are of great value to companies in the UK, particularly in things like the startup market. Um, so, yeah, it's been a very good experience. Um, I would not say that any moment of my time spent in Kenya has been wasted in any way whatsoever. And that includes the mistakes, especially if you have a learning mentality to them. And yep, I almost on a daily basis, apply a lot of that learning that I've gained from living in Kenya um, problem solving, having that solution-based mentality here in the UK.
When working in Kenya, did your education background, was it advantage or disadvantage? Did it matter? Were they just concerned about your career
No, it
experience?
all helps. No, it all helps. I mean, to to be truthful, education is vital. Whether it needs to be a degree, that's a matter of debate. Maybe if you're training to be a doctor, you need a degree. Or if you're training to be a lawyer, you need a degree, or an architect, because they're very skill specific. Um, but certainly to have a decent basic education is essential to everybody, which includes obviously reading, writing, maths, the basics. Um, um, the one thing that I would say um, that I don't know to what degree it is there in education, I don't think so, but I do think um, if you come from a problem solving background, that definitely is an asset that you can apply to everything. If you um, come from a solution based background, that is an invaluable thing. And also, if you um, have an education that gives you the ability to negotiate and have that type of experience, I would say those three things, if you have those things, within reason, I believe that you could almost achieve and do anything you want in life. Because essentially, um, in order to make progress through life, you are continually negotiating, solving problems, looking for solutions, and developing strategies. It doesn't matter what you do. It can even be your marriage. um,
Last,
Developing skills, I think, are the key to everything. And you know, maybe some schools to a degree you're educating them. Maybe some careers that you develop those skills. Maybe some study programs you develop them. But you know, if I could put those things into curriculum, I would.
Last question, Gary, before we wrap it up.
Yeah.
Would you encourage other people to invest in Africa?
Yes, but with a big proviso. If you do it, don't go over there and do it and think that you don't have to work. You do have to work. Work may be different. You do have to work. Don't go over there and think that you can just stamp your system onto the people. You need your systems and your methods. You need accountability. But what you have to do is bring the local people with you. You have to educate, and you have to inspire, encourage, support, nurture. You can't go there with a cheap labour mentality because it will backfire on you. And you can have a fantastic life over there, but do have a solid business plan. And the other thing I was going to say is expect it to take a little bit longer than say if you were doing something in Europe or America. It's going to take a little bit longer. So build that into your business plan. And then, you know, finally, don't just go and do it big. Start small. And once you've got your business model, right, and you've got the right people around you, then upscale your business when you're out there. And be patient, you know, very important. And then obviously, whilst I said don't waste time, but, you know, enjoy the progress, enjoy the journey. Don't just be in a hurry to make money. Enjoy the process, enjoy the experience. You know, have fun, make every day an experience, have fun every day in what you do. So have your goals, use your time well, but make sure you have fun, and just do things well. Just do things well, and do things well by the people that you're dealing with. Because if you do that, you'll find that you will have the right people around you and you will succeed. So if you said to me, going back to your last question, what would have I done right? Or what would have I done differently? I would have done differently exactly that I said. That's where I would start. Unfortunately, it's like a lot of things. Being in Kenya, what I did realize as a country, they're doing things that we did in the UK back in the 60s and 70s. You could almost look at the development of the country and the things that we did and take any one of those things, they would work out there, because the country is 20 to 30 years behind us in terms of how the country is growing and the type of things that people are embracing and want to do. So you almost don't need to reinvent the wheel, but, you know, do it well. Do it well. Enjoy the process. You know, don't go over there to just sit down and think that you're going to have an easy life. You know, go over there and be excited by a new business, be excited by the challenges, be excited by the process, be excited by the way that you will have an impact on that local community in creating jobs and developing skills, creating loyalties, and changing lives. You know, that's all part of the process. So I would say, yes, definitely go over there. Do have the right people on your team.
Thanks for your time, Gary. And I'm sure our listeners have learnt a lot from from your experiences. Should anybody want to find you, how can they find you? Are you on social media?
I'm actually on LinkedIn as Gary Carr. Yeah, it's pretty easy to think. So it's Gary Carr, UK. I haven't got my LinkedIn.
Don't worry, Gary. We'll put it in the link. Thanks
Yeah,
again for having us, and
yeah.
we'll look forward to having you again.
Brilliant. Yeah,